Are we seriously doing this again? Yes. I need everyone right now to understand the sheer weight of what we losing a game is one thing. In professional sports, defeats happen to everyone. You have cold shooting nights. Sometimes shots do not fall, or the other team gets hot. We can all accept a hard-fought loss. But what we absolutely cannot and will not accept is the cowardly refusal to take responsibility that we just saw in the Indiana Fever post-game press conference. What Stephanie White and Aaliyah Boston did at that podium was a total slap in the face to every single fan paying hard-earned money to watch this team play. We just watched a gifted roster led by a generational point guard who literally drives 26.5% of this entire league's economic engine get totally outclassed, outworked, and outcoached by the Golden State Valkyries. Yet, instead of looking in the mirror, instead of taking the hit like true professionals, the head coach and the star center sat at the microphone and blamed everyone and everything but themselves. Let us start at the very beginning of this disastrous interview. The Indiana Fever had just lost a heartbreaking, tight game. Their final offensive plays were an absolute train wreck of miscommunication and sheer panic. A reporter asked Stephanie White what she thought about those final. Now, a real honest coach would say, we did not execute, we panicked under pressure, and I need to draw up better plays. But what did Stephanie White actually say when asked what she liked about those final shots? Both the one before the jump ball and the final attempt, I thought they were good looks. They are a really tough defensive team. And when you actually get an opportunity to find clean looks, incredibly important. I thought we got decent looks. Yes, she actually said she liked those looks. What on earth are you talking about, Stephanie? What game were you watching? Let us break down that exact possession before the jump ball. Heavily trapped and blitzed, somehow manages to thread a pass inside to Aaliyah Boston. This is your franchise center, the player you gave a 4-year, $6 million contract to. Boston catches the ball, but instead of making a strong, decisive, fundamental post move, she completely panics. She spins in circles like a top, terrified of the moment, and just blindly flings the ball toward the rim with zero confidence or technique. It was an awful, broken possession. Yet, Stephanie White sits there with a straight face and tells reporters she thought they got good looks. It is pure delusion, a total refusal to face the reality of her own broken offensive system. But if you think that was the worst part of this press conference, brace yourselves, because what happened next is a genuinely fireable offense in any serious pro sports organization. A reporter asks Stephanie White a highly specific tactical question. He asks if she expected number 4 on the Valkyries to play that much in the second half. Question for the coach. Did you expect number 4 for the Valkyries to play the way she did in that second half? Yeah, look, she did not even know. No, she did not. Aaliyah Boston had to point at the stat sheet to show who they were. She does not even know who number 4 is. Stephanie White was completely unprepared. Did you see that? Did you watch the clip? Stephanie White had absolutely no clue who the reporter meant. She looked completely lost. Aaliyah Boston literally had to lean over, check the stat sheet, and point her finger at the paper to show her own head coach who number 4 was. Stephanie White did not even know the opponent's roster. She was completely unprepared for a heavily used rotational player. This is a head coach earning a massive salary whose entire job is simply to watch film, scout the opponent, and prepare her players for every scenario. Yet, she does not even know the numbers of the players actively shredding her defense on the court. It is genuinely embarrassing. She had this entire squad unprepared from the very opening tip. And speaking of being unprepared, let us look at Aaliyah Boston. She spent most of the first half completely neutralizing herself. She is easily the biggest, strongest player on the court for the Indiana Fever. Yet, she spent the first 2 quarters drifting around the three-point line, refusing to use her size, and committing some of the lowest basketball IQ fouls you will ever see in a professional game. So when reporters ask her about the challenges the Valkyries presented, does Boston own up to her terrible footwork or her lack of discipline? Absolutely not. She said, yeah, I was not even able to get into a flow. I think it is super hard to try and figure out and understand how the referees are calling it. I think it is super hard to get charge calls when I do not think anyone is in legal position. Shout out to the Valkyries. They did a great job selling it and the referees bought it, to be honest. So good for them. Listen to her. Just listen to the excuses. It is super hard to understand how the referees are calling it. I doubt anyone was in a legal guarding position there. Props to the Valkyries. They did an amazing job selling it and the refs totally bought it. Are you kidding me, Aaliyah? You get into foul trouble every single game. It does not matter what city you play in, which opponent you face, or even which officiating crew happens to be blowing the whistle. You are constantly picking up fouls because you refuse to fight for deep post position early in the shot clock. Instead, you wait till the defense is set, then just lower your shoulder. You plow straight into a defender who is standing still, and then look totally shocked when the ref calls an offensive charge. Rather than hitting the film room, showing some humility, and fixing your drop step, you sit at the press mic blaming the other team for flopping and the refs for falling for it. That is the absolute definition of a loser mentality. It is always someone else's fault. And where does a player learn that kind of toxic attitude? Where does an athlete learn to dodge responsibility so easily? They get it from their leader. They learn it directly from their head coach. Natalie Nass, leading the Golden State Valkyries, completely outclassed and coached circles around Stephanie White tonight. When are you actually going to address your own coaching? When will you discuss failing to prepare your roster during practice? When are you going to own up to a single thing you did wrong? Natalie Nass ran circles around you out there. Stephanie White, when will you admit it? Your squad looked totally unprepared. We look unprepared pretty much every single game. This was just ridiculous. When are you going to look at your own coaching, Stephanie? When will you face the fact that your team looks like they haven't had a structured practice in 3 weeks? Nass made incredible mid-game adjustments. She spotted the Indiana Fever's weaknesses and targeted them ruthlessly. Meanwhile, Stephanie White stood there with her arms folded, watching her team fall apart and doing absolutely nothing to stop the bleeding. But I saved the absolute worst, most aggravating moment of this entire press conference for the very end. This moment proves beyond any shadow of doubt that Stephanie White is totally unfit to coach a generational star like Caitlin Clark. A reporter asks White a basic, straightforward basketball question. He asks if there are similarities or new defensive wrinkles in how teams guard Caitlin Clark this season versus last year. It is a total softball. It is a great chance for a coach to discuss her star player's gravity. How does Stephanie White respond after Caitlin Clark struggles from the field? Are opponents guarding her the same way they did last season? Are they throwing different wrinkles at the team? I don't really know. I think she, what do you mean you don't know? They literally asked if defenses are playing her similarly to last season. This is the head coach, and she says, I don't know. I don't know. She actually said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Have you completely lost your mind? You are the head coach of the Indiana Fever. Your entire offensive scheme, your whole franchise, and your job security depend on understanding how defenses are game planning for Caitlin Clark. And yet, your reply to the media is, I don't know. Get her out of here. Pack up her office immediately. If you don't even know how they defend her, how are you ever going to put her in a position to succeed and get open? You can't. You leave her stranded on an island where she gets blitzed and trapped constantly. You designed absolutely nothing for Caitlin Clark. You drew up nothing for Caitlin Clark. When they ask about the similarities in how defenses play her, you have no answer. You literally say, you don't know. Maybe that is exactly why you have zero clues on how to get her open. You don't know. You don't know a thing. You never seem to know. Just, I don't know. Oh, really? I don't know. You did absolutely nothing to support Caitlin Clark tonight. Zero. You isolated a 24-year-old point guard on a deserted island. She was getting face guarded 94 feet from the basket and violently blitzed on every single pick and roll. She was trapped aggressively in the corners. And what did you actually do, Stephanie? Did you call a double drag screen? Did you run staggered off-ball screens to get her open? Any elevator door plays? No, you did nothing. You just watched her battle 3 defenders alone, then sat at the press mic saying, I don't know. And while you offered zero help to Caitlin, you also did nothing to stop the Valkyries on the defensive end. You let Veronica Burton play one-on-one isolation basketball all night long. For the second straight match, you blitzed Veronica Burton exactly once during the whole game. And guess what happened? It actually worked. It forced a turnover. Yet, what did Stephanie White do after seeing it succeed? She never ran that play again. This isn't just a temporary slump or a rough patch. It is a complete failure of coaching, preparation, and basic basketball intelligence. Right now, Caitlin Clark is fighting a brutal war on 2 different fronts. She is battling brutal opposing defenses that want to physically break her down. And she is fighting a coaching staff too incompetent to help her and too arrogant to own their mistakes. Honestly, I am sick and tired of the endless excuses the fans are completely fed up too. This entire Stephanie White coaching experiment is officially cooked. It is over. Management has to step in right now before they waste another prime year of the greatest offensive talent this league has ever seen. I need every single person watching this video to head down to the comments section right now. Do not hold back. What did you honestly think about that train wreck of a press conference? Are you just as angry as I am that Aaliyah Boston tried to blame the refs? Are you disgusted that Stephanie White just said, I don't know when asked about Caitlin Clark? Let me know below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. We are going to keep holding this franchise accountable day in and day out. This is Clark Heat, and I will see you in the next one.